Welcome so warmly to this Facebook Live. So this is the third video in the series of my content about ejaculation control for men. So we spoke about the missing step in how most people approach it or how most people teach it. We talked about how to actually use this practice to have full body orgasm. Today, I want to talk about our understanding of masculinity and how the non-ejaculation practice can impact this, the good and the bad. So we live in times when our understanding of what masculinity is or what does it mean to be a man is hugely linked to sexuality. So that's what I want to cover in this Facebook Live because I find it to be such an important topic. Not a lot of people talk about it, so I wanted to share this. And by the way, guys, before we go right into the content, it's basically sunset in Poland, so the light is very weird. There is this purple thing that's giving me the weird aura. There's our dishwashing machine is on, unfortunately, so you guys can hear that as well. I'm just sitting here trying to be cozy with my tea, making the most of the lockdown. So I cannot, of course, go to any studio to do this for you guys. I'm doing it from the living room, but I hope that this is okay. Still want to get this out to you. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the idea of masculinity and how it's hugely dependent on sexuality. So you know very well what I'm talking about. What does it mean to be a man in our times? It means making a lot of money, being very successful, on high position. It means being physically strong and big, and means like sleeping around with lots of women. Now, of course, this is a very limited perception, but unfortunately, it's pretty strong, and whether we like it or not, we are impacted by this. Now, today specifically, I want to talk about the association that being a man, being a masculine, means being a great lover, being highly sexual, being able to give your woman. It's bad, but there's also some truth to it. So it's bad because, yes, it is really limiting in understanding what it means to be a man. I personally, honestly, do not agree that the more women you sleep with, then that makes you more of a man. However, there is some truth in it, and what's there is the fact that your sexuality is like the core of your being. Your sexuality is your essence. That's your main driving force in life. So if you're not connected to your sexuality, you're actually not connected to yourself, to your essence. And it's not much about, at this point, not being the man or not being masculine. It's more about not actually stepping fully into your power as a human being. So you're not fully sexual as a human and you're not fully sexual as a man. Yes, it does mean that you're not actually fully in your power. And so this is where it actually is important, because you are a sexual being. Like, you are a sexual being, not necessarily in a way that, modern medicine or modern times or media and show business wants you to think, but you are a sexual being. Like, that's your core essence. And so if your sexual potential is not fully open, you are automatically limited in your whole potential. And that also means that you're limited in your potential as a man, but that's just part of a bigger picture. Now, when it comes to manhood, the difference between being a man and a woman is that, one of my Tantra teachers used to say, you are born a woman. I don't have to prove to anyone that I'm a woman. But a man, it's something you become. So you're not born a man, you're born a boy. But then throughout your life, you are faced with tests and challenges. And how you meet those challenges is what defines you. It defines what kind of a man you are. So aspects like self-mastery, self-discipline, character, these are hugely associated with being a man and being masculine. Now, if you look at your life and what are the different areas that you could potentially master to develop the character as a strong man, your sexuality is like the most important area. Now, why? Because that's the strongest energy that you have in your body. Your sexual urge, your sexual desire is the strongest desire that you're connected to. So if you really want to be the master of your life, if you really want to be the king of your story, then what you want to do is actually master your own sexuality. It's only when you are in the control of your sexuality that you are fully in the control of your life. So let's look at some of the very common fears that men have. Fears such as, what if I won't be able to perform? What if she doesn't like what I do? What if I come too early? What will she think of me if that happens? What will I think about myself? So these are very common fears, and basically 90% of men that I work with have these fears. These are the fears that are actively impacting their sex life, their intimate life, but also impact other areas of their lives as well. Now, these fears are valid because, like I said, we still have this association between masculinity and sexuality. And because, like I said, actually being connected to our sexuality is what allows us to step fully into being a human being. So that's why these fears are absolutely there, and they're valid. Now, so how does all of this practice of non-ejaculation comes into the picture? Because if you've seen me posting like teasers about this Facebook Live, I named it "When Ejaculation Control Damages Your Sex Life." Like, when is it possible? How is it even possible? And it is. So there's different ways how you can approach it. You can approach it as a way of almost punishment, looking at yourself and like having all of these desires and ejaculating. This is something bad that you need to master yourself. And I have seen so many men approach this whole idea with, it's not even discipline. It's like being extremely strict and having no compassion and no like kindness towards yourself. And indeed, if that's how you approach it, and especially if you don't have the right techniques to master this, what I have seen is that the whole idea of non-ejaculation makes those fears even more real. Because now your concern is, well, okay, I need to perform, meaning I need to not ejaculate. What if I do ejaculate? What if I fail? What if I have an accident? What will she think about me? And again, what will you think about yourself if you fail at the practice? Truth is, a lot of men are too scared to even try the practice of non-ejaculation because they're afraid of failing. Their mindset is, if I fail at this, I will not be able to look, into my own reflection, because sexuality is like the one thing that I know how to do. Because here we're talking about doing sexuality in a whole different way. But if you approach ejaculation control from a place of curiosity and desire to open and expand, then we're talking about a whole different experience. This is this missing step that I mentioned in my previous videos, the feminine phase, when you're just relaxing. If you're only like tensing your body and demanding from your body to do something that kind of naturally, the body wants to do the opposite, then you can actually become a worse lover. Because like I said it before, you won't be present, you'll be too conscious about what you're doing. But if you approach non-ejaculation as a way to connect to yourself, the sense of who you are and your sexuality more, then what you're building is this very strong sense of confidence, very strong confidence in who you are as a man, which makes all of those fears about not being a great lover, not lasting long enough, not being able to satisfy her, maybe not feeling like a man enough, makes all of these fears obsolete. It's this unshaken confidence that comes from mastering your own sexuality, your own sexual desires. Now, I'm telling you this first as a woman who's been guiding men through these techniques for 5 years, but also I'm telling you this as a woman who has been with men who have practiced non-ejaculation and who have done it from both angles. from those who took it on as like punishment and they actually became worse lovers than they were before. Also from the men who approached it with a more open mind, and like absolutely sex life with them was just like a whole different story. And literally just talk to any woman who has ever been with a man who practices non-ejaculation. It's like a life-changing experience for us. We love it. And I've also been with men who were too scared to even approach this practice altogether. So I'm speaking from these two different experiences for you. Now, of course, the question is then, how can you approach ejaculation control? How can you master this whole process with this open mind and with the ability to go deeper without becoming too hard on yourself? So I already shared with you, like I mentioned, these two-step process. So we talked about the masculine side, which is where most men stop the practice, and then the feminine side, which is something that hardly anyone teaches. And this is this part of relaxation, of just letting go, dropping into the sensations, into pleasure, into the full body orgasm. And then I also said yesterday that there is another, like step 0, which is something you need to do as a start to the whole practice. So what is the step 0? Because I haven't shared it with you yet. Step 0 is increasing your sensitivity. Now, when we talk about non-ejaculation, we're talking about working with energy. So the question is, how well can you actually feel your own energy? How well can you say, where exactly are you in your scale of arousal? Can you really pinpoint, like, how close you are to ejaculation, how close you are to an orgasm? Now, because you never needed to separate ejaculation from an orgasm, like you have a sensation of arousal growing and growing, of your lingam getting stronger, but you don't have the very specific sensitivity which you need. Now, because again, that's another missing step that hardly anyone is talking about and hardly anyone teaches any techniques for, what happens is what men unfortunately call it accidents. Accidents means that you're trying to make love or masturbate without ejaculating, and you do. So it's ejaculation that happens even though you don't want it to happen. So that's what's called the accident. That's what men call accidents. Now, those happen when you're not aware of where you are exactly in your arousal. And this is something you build up over time with the right tools. But this is the needed preparation before you even go into the masculine part of the practice, which is holding the energy in, and then the feminine, which is relaxing into the energy. So this is where we need to start. Now, truth is, there is even more than step 0, step 1, and step 2. There are steps in between. And any part of the process has specific techniques that allow you to master this. And what you have to understand is that those steps are there to assist you. That's like your support system to get where you want to get with the practice of non-ejaculation. And truth is, trying to skip any of these steps makes the practice almost impossible. It's a little how, imagine you're trying to climb up a ladder. Like if you try to skip any of the steps, it's really hard to climb. So again, think of all these steps. I covered with you step 0, 1, and 2. And like I said, there are steps in between. And because most men skip at least some of those steps, they never actually get to fully enjoy the benefits of non-ejaculation. Because remember, the whole goal of this practice, it's not to just forcefully keep your ejaculation in. It's to have the non-ejaculatory orgasm. It's to dive deeper into your sexuality, deeper into your pleasure, not to remove it. So another important thing that I want to share with you is that at the beginning, it may feel like there's just so many things to do. And it's really hard because you're trying to go against your nature, your very strong, primal urge and desire. And it is true that at the beginning, when you're learning these techniques, it may feel like, gosh, I need to use so much willpower, self-control, I need to be disciplined, and it may be difficult. However, what happens is that the more you do the practices, the more you're creating a new default flow of your energy. What I mean by this is that the more you do the techniques that are there for you to master non-ejaculation, the more natural and automatic this will become. Now, a lot of the techniques actually that you would be learning for the process are the same techniques that women do to help us reach full body orgasm. So in my case, at the beginning when I started learning them, it was very difficult. I wasn't feeling a lot of my energy. But after some time of repeating the practice, I didn't have to do anything. My body would automatically move the energy up. So the same will happen for you. If you stay committed to the practice, you'll notice that at some point, you don't really need so much willpower because the body will naturally move the energy up your body instead of trying to push it out. So that's good news, because what I'm basically saying is that it's something that will be getting easier and easier. Now, if this is something that you want to learn, if you want to get all of those techniques, if you want to approach the non-ejaculation from the place of expansion and diving deeper, that indeed will help you become the best lover you can and connect to your sexuality even more. If you want this full process and learn all of these techniques, then join my upcoming Sexual Mastery Program for Men. So in this program, I guide you through all of those techniques. I show you the full process and I give you techniques for every phase. What basically I will be guiding you is increasing your sensitivity of your own energy, moving it outside of the genitals, pushing it out of the genitals, then pulling it into your body and relaxing into those sensations. And at the end of this training, you will have all of the techniques that you need. We will spend enough time together for you to actually create a habit, a ritual of the practice so that you can later continue on your own without my help. But I will guide you through those techniques and I will be doing those techniques with you on the calls. So I'm not just going to tell you what to do. We will actually do them together. So it's like having a personal Tantra teacher in the comfort of your own home. So this program starts on Wednesday, exactly in a week, on April 29th. And if you would like to join or read more about it, please go to www.magdakay.com/mastery. You will also find the link in the description of this video, of this Facebook Live. So once again, it's magdakay.com/mastery. So we're open for anyone who wants to join right now, and we'll be doing live sessions for 6 days, day after day, diving really, really deep. And I will be there for you. So if you have any questions, if you need one-on-one assistance, I will be there available for you. The course is live. It will stay available for you for as long as you want, as long as you need it. So thank you so much. I hope that you guys got value from these last few days that we spent together talking about ejaculation control. And again, as a woman, I'll tell you that I would never want to go back to lovemaking with a man who follows the traditional way of just ejaculating. It's a whole different experience for me as a lover of such a man. And you know, we're all stuck home, so we have time. And one important thing, the techniques that we do, it's absolutely fine to follow through, even if you have your family and your children at home. You do need some privacy so you can dive deeper, but we're not doing anything that would be considered inappropriate for your family. So you have all the time, all the space to actually dive deeper into this. And like I said at the very beginning, I decided to do these series because we can just stay home and rest all the time and watch Netflix, or we can invest in ourselves and make sure that when the lockdown is over, we're coming out better than when we entered this. So thank you so much. Have a beautiful day, and I hope to see you inside the program Sexual Mastery for Men.